You're listening to an archived CabralConcept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the CabralConcept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back to today's CabralConcept. So excited to be with you here today. Happy you're joining me. And so looking forward to going over today's topic of the only proven anti-cancer diet out there. Now, there's so many diets right now, it's hard to figure out, should I be going low carb, high fat, high protein? How do you mix them all together? But my goal is this. My goal is not just looking to say, how can I help you transform your body? It's also, how can I keep you well 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? Because I think a lot of the diets we're on right now are so short-sighted. And again, I only know this from experience, meaning that I was on those diets myself during my early 20s. And yes, they can help with body transformation. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. But what happens is you begin to realize that all of the gains you are making in your body transformation are not worth it in the long term. Because when you get into your 30s, trust me, when you get into your 30s and beyond, 40s, 50s, you're not saying, oh, you know what, I need to lose that last 1.5 pounds. You're saying, is this worth it? All the trade-offs I need to do for my health, meaning I need to make sure I have the energy, I need to have the good mood, I can't have any brain fog, I need to be able to think clearly, I don't want my joints to hurt, I don't want my muscles to be stiff, all of those things. Body transformation is just one part of it, and it's no longer necessarily just about getting an 8-pack. It's also about feeling good. You want to look good, sure. That's your definition, however you want it. I support you in that. But what I also don't want for you, though, is this, is I do not want you to have regrets when you're in your 50s and 60s and beyond with saying, I wish I didn't follow that type of diet for so long because now I can see the effects that it had on my skin, on my hair, on my overall health, all of those things. So what I want to go through today is just an honest synopsis of the last 20 years of me looking at nutrition, of me looking at dieting with over 250,000 people. But then it's also, besides just all the evidence I have from running one of the largest, known research studies ever, and that's literally going on 300,000 client appointments now, but it's also in the research and the data right now. So what I'm going to do is not just give you my synopsis of what I've seen work on health, not just body transformation, but health as well. Again, so much works for body transformation. If you want body transformation, there's so many diets out there, but the problem is they're not going to last. And they can really ruin your metabolism for the long run. I've spoken about those. So just go back, listen to previous CabralConcepts. Today, we're focused on the 70%. Again, even conventional medicine is saying this. 70% minimum of cancer risk is within your control. And in natural health, we say it's 95%. So conventional medicine, that would be your typical PCP and MDs and your oncologists, your surgeons, they're saying 70%. And in natural health and in natural healings, we're saying what? Well, we're saying 95% of all dis-ease in the body, and that includes cancer, comes from lifestyle and environment. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means everything that you're exposed to, the good food and the bad food, the toxins of the environment and the clean and fresh air, right? It's all of those things. So what I want to go over right now is what we do know, is the foods that we know that cut down on cancer. And that's the bottom line is this. It's like, you can guess at a lot of diets. Well, this may work. This may work, right? Well, why don't we go with the evidence that we already know? And let's see what they say across the board. So that's what I want to present you today. And then at the end, I always want you to make your own decision. I'm not here to sway you in one direction or the other. I'm here to show you what's worked over my 20 years and now close to 300,000 client appointments, right? But I also want to go by the research and the evidence. Not a couple cherry-picked studies, by the overwhelming evidence. I want to show you what works. Okay, so let's go over it. Now, I'm going to link up all of these articles today, and they all come backed with their own research studies. So there'll be over somewhere between 30 and 40 published studies on all of this to back it up. Again, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I have no dog in the race. It does not matter to me necessarily which foods are best for us and which ones aren't. Because my goal is I'm after the truth. That's always what I've been after. And that's because the truth was withheld from me for a minimum of 2 years when I was sick, when I was 17. I went from specialist to specialist, and the truth was withheld. That's the bottom line. Now, it was because the American Medical Association does not teach MDs the real truth about disease pathology and how you get a dis-ease in the body, right? So that was withheld from me. But also, as I was moving through the process, all of those pieces of the puzzle were never presented to me or of themselves all at the same time. That's why I've created this thing called the Integrative Health Practitioner Certification, is I don't believe there is one best form of medicine. Just like I don't believe there is one best diet. What we need to do is integrate the best of the best. That means there's no way we can say, oh, it's just about Ayurveda, or it's just about traditional Chinese medicine, or just about manual lymph drainage, or chiropractic, or acupuncture, or conventional medicine, or naturopathic medicine, or orthomolecular medicine, or bioregulatory medicine, or functional medicine. It's saying that we can use all of these because they can all be great in their own time. They can all be great. But we have to know when to use them and never to say we can't. We have to exclude any one of them, right? It's like doing a workout and saying, I'm only going to use a kettlebell for the rest of my life. Well, what about all the great benefits from bands and cables and barbells and dumbbells and your own body weight, right? It would be crazy to say I'm only going to do a kettlebell. Kettlebells are amazing. But really, you're never going to do anything else for an exercise? Of course not. That doesn't make sense. But for whatever reason, we do that in natural health all the time. And of course, conventional medicine does it. Conventional medicine looks down their nose at every form of natural medicine, and they always have. And it's crazy to think that because the two can coexist. You can have an MD and you can have an integrative health practitioner. You can have an ND, you can have your chiropractor, you can have your massage therapist, you can have your personal trainer. In my opinion, if you can afford them, you have them all. That is your team. That's your wellness team that's there to keep you in tip-top shape. That's how I look at it. But again, not everybody looks at it that way, but that's my truth. That's what I try to live. Never do I put one person above another, right? I've studied acupuncture. I practiced acupuncture over in Sri Lanka and over in China. Do I practice it in the US? No. Will I do it myself? Yes, but I'm not a licensed acupuncturist. So I'm not going to present that therapy with anyone else. Now, in my practice, if someone's having neurological issues, anxiety, insomnia, would I recommend acupuncture? Absolutely. In conjunction with the full protocol, but acupuncture could be one great part of that, right? And if I see someone with neck pain and back pain, would I recommend going to see a good chiropractor to look at any biomechanical deviations of the spine? Absolutely. Why wouldn't I, right? Why wouldn't I? And would I also recommend a personal trainer to begin to work on their core strength, to be able to work on thoracic mobility, hip mobility, all those things? Absolutely, right? So there doesn't have, just because we recommend one is not the exclusion of another. So as I'm going through all of these foods today, people have a food hierarchy. They put some foods above others. Well, in terms of anti-cancer, that's absolutely correct. But we can use all of these foods at our disposal because they're there. They're there for us to consume. So let's go check them out right now because I could go on a rant all day, but we're going to keep it at that. So the first one, and I would agree with it, like right out of the gates, these aren't in order of importance. They're not in order of importance. But I love this first one right out of the gate, and I try to eat it once a day. Sometimes I have it twice if my wife makes it at night, but always for lunch. 5 out of 7 days. I know Monday through Friday I'm eating this for lunch because it's part of the places that I go to, and that's broccoli. Broccoli I mentioned before, but there might not be a more potent vegetable out there or food out there that's better at destroying free radicals, helping you detoxify the body, and helping to kill cancer cells or remove cancer cells from the body before they become a cancerous-based issue or tumor. This article, again, I'm going to link it up for you. It states over 35 studies just on broccoli and colorectal and colon cancer. That's just on colon cancer. Again, you really have to understand, and this is so important, this information has been kept from you. We're talking about, how do we cure cancer? How do we prevent cancer? The cancer is all around us in the environment. All 10 of what I name in the rain barrel effect. So in the beginning of the rain barrel effect, I start out right out of the gates with saying, listen, this is what's causing cancer. This is what's causing disease. The problem is, when I named all 10, people are looking always for the silver bullet. There is no silver bullet. Cancer, just like disease, is multifactorial. And that's why when you have these walk for cancers and all of these things for cancer, I'm not sure that they're doing a lot of good. Now, I'm all for it. I support, cancer research. But when health insurance is being paid and doctors are being paid for these cancer-based procedures, and it's a minimum of typically $100,000, I don't know that the pharmaceutical-based industry is in a rush to get rid of those. My opinion. Again, my opinion. Well, I'll share with you towards the end with Dr. Max Gerson and his studies and what he found. Very interesting, because we've known about this now since the early 1950s. We knew about it much earlier than that. There's no doubt about that. But the early 1950s, we started to see more and more cancer. Well, we knew we were on the right track, but the problem was it was voted down in Congress, and I'll share with you that in just a moment. But right now, broccoli, one of the top foods. The second one is carrots. Believe it or not, carrots. This was a little bit new to me. Now, carrots and carrot juice is one of my favorite absolute things with lemon and ginger. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. But what they found was this, is that carrots for prostate cancer and lung cancer, and also I'm looking at right here as well, overall stomach cancer, developing cancer in general, carrots just once per week help to decrease that. And this is a study of over 1,200 people. Not bad. And even those with cancer. So again, that's why I can't recommend enough. Anybody who's especially high risk, cancer runs in your family, or you do smoke, or any one of those things, this is the time to begin increasing these types of foods. Beans are another one. And again, we're looking at colon cancer, colorectal cancer, a lot of these things that are absolutely cutting people's life expectancy short. So we've got a study close to 2,000 people showing to block the development of cancer cells by up to 75% with beans. Why? Well, they're high in fiber, but they're also high in antioxidants. I want you to keep this theme going. Antioxidants, meaning they squelch free radical damage in the body. Okay, keep that in mind. Next up is berries. Now, you know that I've been preaching the benefits of berries for 20 years now, almost 20 years. I haven't been teaching for quite 20 years. But, berries are one of those unique fruit in the plant-based world that are super high in antioxidants. So they have these things called anthocyanins. So those anthocyanins are what gives us those beautiful colors. Well, all of those anthocyanins help to reduce cancer cells in the body because they help with the improper mutation of cells, they help with DNA replication, and they help remove free radicals from the body. So when I look at berries, I'm looking at something that's super high in fiber, it's low glycemic, which means it's low in sugar, and it has a lot of antioxidants, which is why I can't recommend enough. After you've done something like the 21-day Dr. Ball detox, or you've done a 21-day elimination diet, whatever it might be, is that you begin to add in at least 1 cup of berries in your smoothie in the morning. It's why I'm such a huge proponent of a smoothie. Because if you're not doing a smoothie, you can't add in all these plants that easily when you first wake up. So you add them back in. Again, when I talk about plants, I'm also talking about fruit as well. I'm talking about fruit and vegetables when I call it the plant or produce, right? So just another great way. And you can do them freeze-dried. You can do them as powders. You can do them as frozen berries, which is what I do. So you get basically, I like frozen berries. The reason is they're always in my freezer. I don't have to worry about them going moldy. I buy raspberries and the next day they're moldy. It's the craziest thing. It's like, how do you win with raspberries? Unless you're picking them fresh and they've never been washed, then they're going to be less likely to get mold. So, what I do a lot of the times is I get these fruit and they're already frozen, or I buy them fresh from a local farmer's market and then I freeze them. So for me, frozen fruit, remember, is super high quality because it's picked ripe and then it's frozen right away. Now, it doesn't have the living enzymes, which I would love to have as well. And again, I eat fresh fruit, but with the frozen fruit, I know I'm getting all the vitamins and all the minerals and all the great fibers still, and I'm getting the antioxidants. The only thing I'm not getting basically those enzymes, but it's picked ripe, so it's loaded with the vitamins and minerals because it's vine ripened, and it's convenient. I have it there, so I'm going to use it. So those wild blueberries, they go in my shake every morning. So important right there. And again, you can use strawberries as well. You could use blackberries. You could use bilberries. You could use boysenberries. You could use any berries that you would like. Cinnamon. I'm going to give a couple herbs today, but cinnamon is a big one. Cinnamon controls blood sugar, but it also helps suppress cancer growth in the body. Pretty amazing. How much do you need? Not much of these things. A half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. People do our vanilla shake all the time. Our vanilla daily nutritional support powder in their smoothie. They do it with a banana, and they do some frozen ice. They do some vanilla almond milk or vanilla macadamia or coconut milk, and they throw in a tablespoon of, not a tablespoon, they throw in a teaspoon of cinnamon, and they love it. It's basically banana with cinnamon, and they think it tastes delicious. I mean, I think it tastes great as well. I just like to spice mine. I like to put more stuff in there. That's just me. But I do love that one for sure. Another one is nuts. Nuts. This is a big one. Why? Well, antioxidants, as long as they have not been cooked in oil, you want raw nuts. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for oxidized. You're looking for raw nuts, and you're looking for them to be in their natural state. That's basically it. So you can eat walnuts with all their high omega-3s, and you could eat raw almonds or raw pecans or any of those. And those will allow you, Brazil nuts is another one of my favorite. This is a huge study. It was done for 30 plus years, over 30,000 people, and it showed a decreased risk of colorectal, pancreatic, and endometrial type cancers. Pretty impressive. Again, I'm going to link all this up for you. So what I'd like you to do is simply go to stephencabral.com/1026. Just go to stephencabral.com/1026, and I'll let you look up these articles yourself, because basically I'm going by an article right now. I'll give the author's name for sure, without a doubt, because I always, again, integrate, right? I share the accolades wherever they're due. Olive oil. I've talked about this way back on the Cabral Concept. That's why I do hope you tune in daily, because way back I told you about how olive oil has not only been shown to help lower the risk of breast cancer and other type of tumors in the body, but olive oil, as well as olives, of course, can help pierce cancer cells, the liposomal layer of that cancer cell. It can help to pierce it and actually create something called apoptosis, which is cell death inside of that cancer cell. Pretty amazing. So that's why I'm a huge fan of olive oil, even for those people, if they've done their genetics and they know their ApoE genotype. Even if you're a 4-4, you can still have a little bit of olive oil in your diet for sure. It can be very, very beneficial, especially if it's first pressed, cold pressed, it's in a dark bottle, and it's organic. All right, buy the small bottle so it doesn't oxidize. The next one, another super herb right here, is curcumin. Curcumin, right? So we love curcumin, talked about all the time. We use it in all sorts of different forms, but turmeric is essentially where it comes from. Now, when I was in India and Sri Lanka, we couldn't use enough of it. You know, we had turmeric with everything, and it was so great, so amazing. Well, you can take it, without a doubt, you can take it in capsules, and if you take it as a curcumin phytosome, I'll link that up for you today. Just go to stephencabral.com/1026. I'll link up the brand that we recommend, that we promote in my private practice. But what it did is actually helps to ward off cancer, so basically not allow it to grow in the body, but also help to kill cancer cells. Now, the thing is, you do need to take quite a bit of it if it's just straight turmeric. And we're talking really 3 to 4 teaspoons. Typically, it's 3 to 4 grams in the research. This article doesn't state it, but again, I've done lots and lots of cancer is one of the big research studies that I do. And you need about 3 to 4 grams, so it's quite a bit. Now, when you start to use some of the better delivery sources, yes, black pepper is fine, bioperine is fine, but once you start to use a little bit of the phospholipid or the Mariva-based brands, the other types of brands are going to allow you, or I should say patented delivery systems are going to allow you to better absorb it. And again, when I talk about patents, I talk about them in delivery systems, not as like a pharmaceutical. It's simply how you get the natural herb, the natural food into your body. So huge advocate of that. Again, if you want to take natural turmeric in your food and however you want to use it, your shake, totally fine. But you do need a good 3 to 4 teaspoons. It's quite a bit. But again, it can work really, really well. All right, next one, citrus fruit. Why? Well, so many reasons why, but one of the big ones is vitamin C. This is just one. There are others. There's also, again, when it's a brightly colored fruit or vegetable, what does it have? Antioxidants. Oxidative stress leads to a lower pH, which can lead to cancer as well. So again, I'm talking tissue-wise. The blood will remain at a 7.536 pH, but the tissues in different compartments of the body is a different story. The body can actually become a little bit more anaerobic from a tissue-based level. Well, antioxidants help with all of those things, but they also allow for just the proliferation of healthy cells and not cancer-based cells. So citrus fruits, I would say namely lemon, lime, grapefruits, are super low glycemic and really great at helping, again, with certain types of cancer. Next is flaxseed. Flaxseed's a great one. I heard about this probably about a decade ago now, maybe just a little bit over, but not too much over that. And I was studying the Budwig diet. And the Budwig diet was, well, it's been popular for quite some time, but the Budwig diet uses flax, ground flax, or flax oil, but it has to be fresh, mixed in with a phospholipid, so a good fat to help with absorption. Now, in the Budwig diet, they typically did cottage cheese. I don't know if cottage cheese is going to be your best bet because it does have some IGF-1 based levels, but nonetheless, it has been shown to be effective. But one of the big things is because it's flax. And flax, a lot of people don't know this, is a great sulfur-based seed. So this helps with what? Well, it helps with detoxification. Really, really great. Again, antioxidants, helps with colon cancer. Pretty impressive. This next one as well as flaxseed. These two help with breast cancer, and they also help with prostate cancer. So that was flaxseed and tomatoes. Tomatoes, the most powerful antioxidant that we know about in tomatoes would be, or phytochemical, would be lycopene. Lycopene gives it that bright red color, right? That bright color. So it can be absolutely fantastic. Again, huge studies, about 50,000 people, right? 50,000 people it was shown with helping to decrease prostate cancer. So if you know prostate cancer runs in your family, might be a good idea to add some tomato. Garlic's another great one. We recommend garlic for basically everyone except those on the first 6 weeks of the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. And then after that, we have them start to add it back in. So big fan of that. And then we have fatty fish. This would be omega-3 fish. We just to make sure that we're cutting down, though, on our high mercury-based fish. That would be our bluefish and our tuna and our certain types of Chilean sea bass. What else is a big one up there? Swordfish as well. So we have to cut back on those, but we can eat our sardines and our anchovies and our mackerel and our wild salmon and trout. And as long as they are wild, as long as they are the higher variation, well, we can get a much more decreased risk for cancer. So happy to see that in the study as well. So basically, what do we have there? Well, I just named 13. Very interesting that I just named 13, and only one came from the non-vegetable-based world. But every single one I named was based on what? Well, it was all based on brightly colored fruit and vegetable herbs and spices. Really interesting. Keep that in mind because I'm going to just go over another one. So I've got another one right here I'm going to link up. It's called the Cancer Prevention Diet. So these are what they should include, basically. A diet high in fruit may lower the risk of stomach and lung cancer. Eating vegetables containing carotenoids, such as carrots, Brussels sprouts, and squash, may reduce the risk for lung, mouth, pharynx, and larynx-based cancer. Diets high in non-starchy vegetables, such as broccoli, spinach, and beans, may help protect against stomach and esophageal cancer. Eating oranges, berries, peas, bell peppers, dark leafy greens, and other foods high in vitamin C may also protect against esophageal cancer. Foods high in lycopene, such as tomatoes, guava, and watermelon, may lower the risk of prostate cancer. Interesting, right? So think of all those foods I just named. Fruit, vegetables, the carrots, the broccoli, the spinach, the beans, the oranges and grapefruits and berries and bell peppers and dark leafy greens and peas and the tomatoes and guava and watermelon. Okay, so listen to those. They were brightly colored again, right? Fruits and vegetables. Interesting. Let's see what WebMD has to say. Even the conventional medicine world. Let's see what they have to say about this. I would never look to my healthy eating advice in conventional medicine, but anyway, let's give them a shot. Let's see what they have to say. All right, this is right on WebMD, not my favorite website for health advice, but we're going to go over what they had to say because I want to take it from all sides. All right, they're saying antioxidants, phytochemicals, and cancer. So that means the effect of antioxidants and phytochemicals, that means natural plant-based chemicals, on cancer. Okay, so they're saying vitamin C, lycopene, beta-carotene from many fruits and vegetables. Let's see what else they have to say. Garlic, they're recommending. Broccoli, they're recommending. Tomatoes, they're recommending. Strawberries. Let's see what else. Carrots. Spinach. Whole grains. And their whole grains, they're saying, are, well, all types of whole grains. And that's their list. So interesting. So I looked at all the lists. One had salmon. One had whole grains. And I would say what? 90%, 95% were fruit and vegetables. So when I look at that, I say, well, what's missing? What's missing that we're all promoting today? I would say it's all the red meat, it's all the bacon, It's all the heavy saturated fat, and it's a keto-based diet, right? And so again, I feel like I have to be the one to say this because no one else is saying it. I believe people are afraid to go against the grain, but I'm not. I'm just not. For whatever reason, it just doesn't bother me to be the person that says this. And here's the deal. I actually have nothing against a keto-based diet when done healthily for the short term. And again, most people are not on a keto-based diet. They're eating way too much meat and protein to be on a keto diet. And that much protein will kick you right out of ketosis. Because a lot of people don't know that, but whey protein and red meat and all of those things, they will absolutely increase blood sugar, kick you right out of ketosis without a doubt. But if you want to say, I want to be in a lower carb diet for a certain period of time, then I would say, great, why don't we focus on avocados? Why don't we focus on a little bit of coconut oil, coconut cream, or coconut meat? Why don't we focus more on olives, olive oil, avocados for our healthy fats? Why do we have to go towards the bacon and all of those? Because I'll tell you right now, bacon and processed meats are on the top 10 cancer-causing foods. Yet we pretend they're not because we cherry pick a couple studies from a keto-based diet that says, well, if you're on a low-carb, high keto-based diet, there's actually some good evidence that it will kill cancerous tumors. And I would say you're absolutely right because all I believe in is the truth. The problem is, the reason those work are not because of the natural nature intended it. It's because now you're going way swung in one direction. And you are dramatically cutting down on your blood sugar level overall. And so you're not feeding the cancer cells. But that's not an anti-cancer prevention diet. That's if you're unfortunate enough to potentially have cancerous tumors. So what I want to do right now is to save people, hopefully save them the trouble from ever getting them there, right? We never know. We don't know who's going to get cancer and who's not because we can be exposed to things that we don't even know we're being exposed to. But we can do our best. We can begin to empty our rain barrel. And I really want you to know, again, it's taken me 20 years to get here, but it's been worth it because I've learned along the way. And now I can see these fad diets pop up and I say, yes, it works for body transformation, at least in the short term. But again, things like really low carb diets and keto, 3 to 4 weeks, that's all I can recommend it because I lab test every day. And I see many women, not as many men, but many women in my practice begin to have a much lowered metabolism, a lowered thyroid. Their cholesterol levels even start to shoot up. Sometimes they start to lose their hair begins to thin. Their skin they get lipid peroxide-based spots. They get brown spots in the skin. They also start to get more wrinkles, right? They don't have that vibrancy that they once had. Well, I can tell you right now, this diet is not new. This anti-cancer prevention diet was recommended by Dr. Max Gerson in the 1950s. And it missed becoming the cancer therapy of our day by about 7 votes in Congress. And of course, lobbying pushed hard for the current cancer-based therapy that we have now, that we promote in conventional medicine. Imagine if we did a Gerson-based therapies, not just giving people just these fruit and vegetables. It's not that. It's actually much more involved. If you want to know more about Gerson therapy, you can simply just obviously go to Google and go Google Gerson therapy, Gerson therapy. And again, one of my favorite websites for those people that are looking to beat cancer naturally or with natural methods as well as conventional methods combined together, that would be cancertutor.com. There's no way I could ever catch up with the amount of information that they put out, but it's a good resource for those people looking to natural cancer-based therapy. What I'd like to tell you is this, though. There is no natural health practitioner that I know of, no true natural health practitioner. I'm not putting anyone down, but no true like real authentic who people have studied the natural hygienists, the original naturopathic doctors. They were called natural hygienists. And those people that have studied that, they all watched what they did to bring people back from any disease, and that included cancer. And what they did was essentially what I wrote about in the rain barrel effect. They took their body as if it was a sponge and they just squeegeed it. They literally had to wring it out of all of those toxins while super saturating it with the best of herbal medicine. We just learned about a few of them, right? Cinnamon and turmeric. They gave them their vitamins and minerals as best as they could. They took them out into nature. In Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years, we've been doing panchakarma. It's always about detoxification and then bringing all the good back in. Well, when every day you're eating broccoli and spinach and berries and grapefruit and all these powerful phytonutrients, your body's going to be fighting cancer cells every single day. And that's a great thing because every day, there's not a day that goes by that we're not exposed to toxic chemicals in the environment. This means so much to me, this topic, because there are people right now, they mean well. Nobody is promoting a super low carb, low vegetable, low fruit diet because they're trying to do the wrong thing for you. They're not. They're saying this person wants to do this, this, and this. And this is one research study I read, and I'm going to promote that. But you have to understand what works well for body transformation doesn't always work well for health. Because if you eat meat and vegetables at every single meal, and it can be a lot of meat, you can actually transform your body. I'm not saying you can't. I did it for many years. I think I got in pretty good shape. But the truth is, if I want my insides to look good, not just working the outside, but if I want the inside of my body to look good, if I don't have the majority of my plate, 80%, with brightly colored fruit, not fruit at a meal, we'll do fruit and smoothies and fruit for a snack away from meals, but with the predominance of vegetables, we're off track. Now, if you want to, I'm not even saying that you can't. I'm not saying that you can't eat meat. And of course, I believe in the Mediterranean diet. I did a podcast called The Foundation of All Diets. I invite you to go back and look at that. Hard pressed to find a better diet than that. At least as a foundation, then you can customize it for you. And again, for all the people that might say I'm against meat or I'm against that, I'm not saying that. I'm actually not saying that. What I'm saying is make 3/4 of your plate, somewhere between 60 and 80% of your plate vegetables. Now, sweet potatoes and squash, those count as a vegetable as well. It's a root vegetable. But what about putting in some broccoli and some Brussels sprouts and some cauliflower? If you haven't eaten a rainbow for the day, you're off track. If you have not eaten 7 to 9 cups of vegetables and fruit every single day, you're off track. That's it. And it's not hard to do. 2 cups of breakfast, 3 cups of veggies for lunch, and they can be cooked, and 3 cups for dinner. You might say that's way too much. And I'd say, okay, start with 1 cup if you're not eating any right now. 1 cup is so much better than 0. Start there. You can even do something like our daily fruit and vegetable blend. Those are organic fruit and vegetables that have been juiced, all the sugar is taken out, and all you're left with is the goodness in there. Now, again, am I saying that substitutes for the real, again, this is real organic fruit that's been in vegetables that have been juiced? No, I'm saying on top of, right? On top of, or if you're not getting 7 to 9 cups every day, I get 7 to 9 cups every day. But I take my daily fruit and vegetable blend every morning. Again, it's totally up to you. What I'm giving you, though, are the actual, I just named them for you, the broccoli, the spinach, the carrots, all these great things. Please do try to include them in your diet. Even if you just make a super smoothie every single morning and you just throw in 3 to 4 cups and you drink that smoothie over an hour or two, that would be a great thing. Now you get 3 to 4 cups right away in the morning. And now if you don't have a great lunch or you just have maybe a cup or so at dinner, well, you're covered. You got 4 in the morning. That's so great to do. So again, I could talk about this all day. I'm going to keep it at that. I'm absolutely going to do follow-up shows with specific types of cancer and specific foods, such as prostate cancer, such as breast cancer. But what I want to do is give you the foundation. And I can't stress enough. Any diet that you see written about, you don't even need to ask is this a good diet? All you need to ask yourself, is this 75%? Is this 80% plant-based? Because if you want to eat a good amount of fat after that, and I'm talking about volume-wise, right? But if you want to eat some meat in your diet, no problem at all. You want to eat some fish? No problem at all. Do you want to eat some saturated fat? No problem at all. If the predominance of your diet is plants, because you need those plants with all of their antioxidants to combat the potential damage and oxidation from other types of foods. And that even includes all of your grass-fed and pasture-based. So again, we could argue all day over the 20%. People say, I want to hear you debate this person. Why? There's no debate. I can absolutely say, yes, chicken liver and all these things are super high in nutrients. You don't have to eat them, but I'm not going to deny that they're not. But what we can't deny is that shouldn't be the predominance of your diet. The predominance of your diet has to be brightly colored fruits and vegetables. I'll keep it at that for today. Thanks so much for tuning into this Cabral Concept. As always, if this was helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.